So here we go. First off, and this is courtesy of the Attorney General here in the state of Minnesota, and it came through our Jackson County Fair Board. These are just some of the precautions that we had to do. And we needed to announce this a couple times during the show. So here we go at the beginning of the show. Social distancing is encouraged. Masks are encouraged if you cannot social distance and are not with a family unit. We do have free face masks in the office if you forgot yours or lost yours. Please wash and sanitize your hands. There are hand washing and sanitizing stations just south of the pavilion across the street, over by the food court, by the food vendors, at the entrance of each one of the livestock barns. Please respect that every other bleacher row has been closed. That's in an effort to keep social distance in the bleachers. It has a yellow sign on it that says closed. We're not supposed to be sitting in that row of bleachers. Please respect show pavilion and livestock office entrances and exits. We're supposed to keep it down to just two people in the office at one time. Please respect the traffic flow signs that are green arrows on the cement. Please, no gathering in the stalling or staging areas. Exhibitors and families, please limit folks in the staging area to just the exhibitor and one other person. Please strive to maintain a 6-foot distance between each of you as exhibitors. Thank you. All right, we have our first class in. Okay, and we've got one more coming. The first one that came in the ring with a short horn was Amelia Schatz. I hope I said that, or Schatz. Wait a minute, that first one, the short horn, was born in February of 2020. Our next one in line there is a February 2020. Then we have another shorthorn, black shorthorn roan, we call it, Mark, that was born in February. And we have a British Lake, I think, that'll be coming in. Okay, here it comes, I see it. That was also born in February. So all of these animals that'll be in the class were born in February of this current year. The sponsors for our show today are the Jackpot Federal Savings and Loan, United Prairie Bank, Bank Midwest, Fricking Family, New Fashion Pork, Brad Smith Cattle Company out of Esterville, Weiss Milling out of, I've got to find my sheet with the right address. I think that one is out of Welcome, Minnesota, and PS Farms, which is Pike Schmidt right here in Jackson. All right, let's put our hands together for our first class of spring breeding heifers, please. Put our hands together. I will be announcing the names of the names of the individuals in the different placings at the end of each class. We have two classes of spring heifers here. This is the February group, and then we'll have our March and April group in the next class. We want to welcome you to Jackson County. Those of you who are not from Jackson County, we certainly want to welcome you. In a very unusual year, we're sure happy that we could provide the opportunity for you to show some of your beef animals here.
Well, good afternoon. It's nice to be back in the show here today, and I think we've got 4 really nice heifer calves here in the ring to start our show this afternoon, and really the logical place with the shorthorn influenced heifer up front. There's just the most to that heifer today, really well presented. Really, when you get off that heifer, get from the side, really striking about her look. She's put together correct in her angles. She's got plenty of center body. She goes with the net and flex, and really nice heifer to lead us off. The British White then that comes next. You really like the depth of body, the practicality that heifer presents. She's got plenty of performance and grow in her. She's probably not as attractive there through her head, neck, and chest as our class winner, but I think a nice heifer to be in the second hole today. The heifer that comes in third, you really like her length of side, her extension that she has. Maybe relative to those 2 heifers up front, you just like to see her just a bit more opened up there about her center body, more dimensional from end to end. But of those 2 remaining, she's got more balance, more look, I think. Then the heifer that rounds out the class, she's got advantages. She's got plenty of length of spine. She's really feminine about her head and neck. Maybe just like to see her balance up just a little bit better here this afternoon to move higher today, but I think a nice class all the way throughout.
Let's give them a nice round of applause, please. Okay, winning that class was Amelia Schatz. Second went to Aubrey Tiedemann with the British White. So the first one was the shorthorn British White. Then we have Braden Yonker with the, and then the second one was also Braden Yonker being shown by Noah Thompson. Okay, this is our second class of spring calves. And again, these are looking at March and April birthdays. So the first 2 in had March birthdays this year, and the young gentleman pulling in has the April calf in this class. All right, let's put our hands together for our second class of spring calves, please. Our young lady in the ring with the camera, that's Rachel, and she's here taking pictures, and if any of you would like to have pictures taken against the backdrop to the north of this building, just let her know, and she will get those pictures taken for you. So her name is Rachel, and she has different ways to contact her, but probably the easiest is just to talk to her and let her know that you'd like a picture with your animal using the backdrop out here.
A nice heifer to lead this class off with, and one I think just offers the most balance for me today. The young man does a nice job showing her and getting her presented, and when those 3 heifers cover the ring, I think she's just the most collected and organized in her skeleton. And then above her lower joints, I think that's a heifer that's got plenty of stoutness all the way throughout, plenty dimensional from end to end. She's maybe not quite as soft-middled as that heifer that comes in second. She's probably not quite as long and striking there through her neck, but I think that's the heifer that offers the most for me today. And like I mentioned, you certainly have to give the heifer in second her class advantages. She's a really long body kind of a female, so you really like to see that in terms of her future growth that she offers, and she's really feminine and youthful there through her head and neck. Maybe just not quite as good down her top line today, maybe not as attractive in her hip and hind leg in terms of how that's put together, but I still think a really high quality heifer to be second in class. Then the heifer that rounds out the class, really practical in her own right. As an individual, you like a lot of things about that heifer. She's plenty good in her balance. Maybe just doesn't have a little bit of the bells and whistles that those two in front of her have. She's probably not quite as stout in her foundation. Maybe doesn't offer the center body width and dimension up top, but a really good trio of heifers.
Let's put our hands together for our class 2, please. First in that class went to Taylor Landrum, second to Peyton, and I might mispronounce this, Hodop, and third went to Levi Thompson. Just let me know if I'm slaughtering your name. Okay, so we're going to be bringing back the first from each of these classes, first and second, for our Grand and Reserve Champion Spring Calves. So the first one out is our February Spring Calf. Next one coming out was from the last class, which is a March Spring Calf. Coming in next is a February calf, first class. And next in is a March spring calf here, spring heifers. My goodness, look at all the colors we have out here. Let's put our hands together for this class, the drive for the champion breeding spring heifer. Let's put our hands together, please. Show appreciation.
I think a nice lineup for our champion breeding heifer prospect drive here, and I think both of our class winners I'm quite high on. I think they bring an awful lot to the table. That short-horn female is really attractive and well built in terms of how she's put together there through her front one third. You maybe want to give her a shot more rear rib and flank, but I think that'll certainly come with time and age and feed, and then that one could be maybe more powered up relative to her size, and maybe that's where the heifer in second out of our second class has the advantage. That heifer's pretty stout, and her foot and bone has the surface, and then has plenty of look and body from there on up. She's probably not as feminine about her head, neck, or shoulder, and how she ties her neck off her shoulder as maybe the heifer that came out of her first class, but it's still a really powerful heifer in her own right. I like the bigger heifer out of our first class to be our champion today, followed by our class winner out of our second class. Congratulations.
Amelia Schutz with the Shorthorn is our champion spring heifer. And our reserve goes to Taylor Landrum with the second, or the first place from the second class. Let's send them out with a nice round of applause, please. Next, we'll be bringing in our bigger breeding heifers. This heifer was born in May of last year. Next one was born in July of last year and is here we go. A key. The first two are key influenced. And our red one that just came in, that's the one that was born in July. The middle one was born in April. So we have 2 Aprils and a July there. The 2 keys, or the black ones, were April. The shorthorn was in July. Sorry, that's May, not April. I guess I was quarantined too long. I don't know when where April went. So those are May's. Sorry about that. It's in your program. just something to add to your programs. We neglected to put in our champion and reserve champions, actually a couple of them. At the conclusion of Class 5, we will name our champion yearling heifer and reserve champion yearling heifer. Then once that is chosen, then we'll take the champion yearling and take it up against the champion spring calf for the overall champion and reserve champion breeding animal. So there's 2 championships that did not get put in the program.
Well, thanks for your patience on this class here, but I think these top 2 heifers are really, really high quality and deserve extra looks, and I really want to make sure that I got every angle and really studied these heifers and gave them their fair due. And I certainly won't fight you too much if you want to do this pair backwards. I'll just tell you how I see the cattle today and I guess why I made my decision. And that white flank heifer is awfully good when you get off to the side. You really love her head, how she comes off top side of her shoulder. She's really attractive there through her neck. She's better through her shoulder than the heifer that comes in second. She's probably more attractive in how her hip and hind legs put together. And she's probably a little bit more flexible in her passing when she gets out on and goes. With that being said, she's probably a shorter body heifer. She doesn't offer the power, the skeletal dimension from end to end like that heifer in second does. So it's probably easier to be a little flatter shoulder, you could certainly argue. And that's certainly where that heifer in second has the advantage. That's a big broody heifer all the way throughout. There's just a tremendous amount of power. But when I get strictly comparative relative to my class winner, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 things about her that I can maybe be a little bit more critical on her. She's plenty sound and flexible, so she's maybe not as flexible, but I think she's plenty good in that regard, so I don't hold that against her. But she's a little bit farther out there and bold in her shoulder. Maybe that's too much. I certainly appreciate her power, but if you want to argue that, you certainly could. And she's probably not as good right now on her top line as our class winner heifer, but again, with that, she's a longer side heifer as well, too. So I think there's a lot of give and take. Ultimately, I just decided to use the one that I think hit me a little bit harder today and had a little bit more striking of a look from the profile, but I think a really, really competitive set of heifers. The red heifer then that comes out there just gets out power today. There's just not as much to that heifer today. She doesn't have the bells or whistles or the looks of those first 2 heifers, but I think a really high quality practical heifer in her own right that's got good potential as a breeding cow down the road. So a really competitive class all the way throughout. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
Let's give them a nice round of applause as they exit the ring. First went to Kate Dodge's heifer, being shown by Haley. Second went to Reese Johnson. Third to Amelia Schatz. Okay, coming in next is our next class of yearlings. All of these were born in April. The 4th month of the year is April. So all of these were born in April of last year. We've got an Angus out there, a Simmental Percent, a Lemmy Flex, a Commercial, and a Main Anjou. Wow. We've got several breeds represented out here. All right, they have them pretty well set. Let's put our hands together for Class 4. These are April yearlings. While we're working this class, I'd like to promote another show that will be happening in about 3 weeks. It's the Minnesota Youth Livestock Expo. I have the flyer for it up here. There's more flyers in the office. On the back are the contact people. On the front, it gives the dates and locations. The dates are August 19th through the 23rd. With the beef, sheep, and meat goats being housed at the Martin County Fairgrounds at Fairmont, and the swine being housed here at the Jackson County Fairgrounds. And it is open to any youth 8 through 21 as of January 1st, 2020. That includes 4-H, FFA, open class. So all youth in Minnesota that are 8 to 21 years as of January 1st of this current year. Today is the supposedly the deadline, but we have a few species that are not coming in quite as fast as they'd hope. And so they are extending the deadline. If you go online, it's www.mn, that's for Minnesota, youthlivestockexpo.com. And those flyers are in the office. We'd really like to promote that. It's an opportunity for our youth to get out there and show and see how they would do with livestock from throughout Minnesota. All right, in the back, the two general are Kent Thesey and Julie Warpago. And Julia was here last night with her family and her children. They did very well in the hog show. For the beef, our contact people are Stephanie Stick and Steve Pomeranke. For the dairy beef, it's Rick Orwell. And for the goats, Rex Quam. For the sheep, it's Todd Franz and David Resch. For the swine, it's Lynette Frecking and Stephen Risler, I think. It's on white on yellow, so I'm in trouble reading that one. So please consider that. The flyers with contact information are in the office. You may or may not have noticed, but we have some special little gifts that are being presented along with the money to our exhibitors, courtesy of our sponsors. And our sponsors are Jackson Federal Savings and Loan, United Prairie Bank, Bank Midwest, the Fricking Family, New Fashion Pork, Brad Smith Cattle Company, Esterville, Weiss Milling from Welcome, Minnesota, and P&S Farms, which is Pike Schmidt Farms from Jackson here. So Jackson Federal Savings and Loan, United Prairie, and Bank Midwest are all here in Jackson, along with New Fashion Pork. You probably came past it as you came off the highway or freeway to the fairgrounds. And Brad Smith is out of Esterville, Weiss Milling is out of Welcome, and P.S. Farms, Pike Schmidt Farms is right here in Jackson. When you see these donors, let's make sure to thank them for our Jackson County Beef Jackpot Show. Let's maybe put our hands together for those sponsors right now. Let's give a nice round of applause for our sponsorship.
Well, another really tremendously deep set of heifers here in this class, and I think we've got some really high-quality heifers up front, and the young man's heifer that I'll use to win the class. Really good from a lot of different angles. I really love that heifer out on the move. She's so elegant and striking in terms of how she's put together. She's probably not as quite a high catching or laid back in her shoulder maybe as that heifer in the second, but she's awfully good in that regard still in her own way. And then that one's just so good there for her center body in terms of having plenty of power and depth all the way throughout, and she's more attractive there through her hip and hind leg as well too, so I think a really logical place to start. She probably doesn't have quite the performance maybe in terms of just frame size as the heifer that comes in second, and you really like the angle there through the front 1/3 of this heifer in second. She's probably just not quite as stout, quite as round in her body shape as the heifer that wins the class, but I think relative to those heifers on my left here of this heifer, I think this one just dominates in terms of just look from the side, in terms of just sheer volume there through her center body. The heifer that comes in third really is round and bold about her center body as any we've had in class, as dimensional outer hip as any we've had in class here likely today. I just like to change that one in motion just a little bit. She probably wants to waddle and through her pelvic bone just a little bit, not plant correctly there on her rear too, but I think that's still awfully stout-built heifer and a really high-quality heifer to be in third place. The heifer that comes in fourth probably ranks fourth in terms of dimension, in terms of skeletal width and look, and that's where I'll leave her. I think she's a really practical nice appearing kind of a female in terms of having some center body and some balance. She just probably isn't quite as good in motion as those in front of her. She's probably just not quite as attractive, but a really good heifer for fourth. Then the young man's red heifer that rounds out the group. Still really high quality heifer. You really like the balance of this heifer from the side. She probably just gives up a little bit in terms of weight per day of age relative to those heifers in front of her. She's probably not quite as attractive there, about her front 1/3 as the heifers in front of her, but still a really nice project for that young man that he can be proud of. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
Let's put our hands together for Class 4. It was won by Trevor Mente. Second was Meditavis. Third was Nathan Hinkledye. Fourth went to Grace Killian. Fifth went to Haley Dodge, being shown by Cade Dodge. Okay, now we have our January, February, and March yearlings here. First one in is Angus, followed by our red Angus. Next we have a Hereford. And we have a crossbred, the black one. Our Baldy there is a Foundation Senetal. And our white flanked is a Foundation Senetal. So as they came in, the first two are January yearlings. The middle two, the Hereford and the crossbred, are February yearlings. And the last two in are March yearlings. Let's put our hands together for this Class 5, please. At the conclusion of this class, we will bring back the first one, first and second from Class 3, 4, and this class for the overall yearling champion drive there. Once again, we're very grateful for our people who help us in the ring. We've got Darren down there on the other end. We've got Zach from the cap on, and we've got Lynn here. I guess she's got her sunglasses on. So we're very grateful for our ring helpers here. Let's give them a nice, gentle round of applause, please, for our ring help, please. Yeah.
really good top pair here, I think, in this class that can go either way, and certainly study plenty of differences between those two heifers. I think there's just a little bit more dimension to that Blaze heifer today. I think she's just bolder in her basic build in terms of how she progresses there from her forehead back out to her hip. I think from behind the cattle, she certainly has that advantage. She's not perfect in motion. I mean, the Angus heifer in second is probably a bit more flexible out on the move, but that Blaze is still plenty functional in that regard. She's bigger in the foot and bone. And I actually think from the side, she probably is balancing up just a little bit better this afternoon in terms of staying really round and robust there to her center body and having enough rear rib and flank to go along with that. And that's probably where I start to pick on this heifer in second just a little bit more. You really like this heifer in motion. Young man does a really nice job showing her. She's deeper in her middle, 1/3, and she just doesn't probably quite have the turn there through her rear rib as the heifer that wins the class. She's probably not as stout in her foundation. If we let those heifers rest today, that heifer that comes in second maybe gets more competitive in terms of adding some extra fill to her today. The white black heifer then that comes third, a really competitive heifer in her own right. She's really practical in all of her angles. She maybe doesn't overwhelm you in any one angle. She could be a bit more attractive there through her front 1/3, maybe relative to those two heifers in front of her. She's probably not quite as balanced or attractive in how she uses her hip and hind leg there, but a really solid heifer in her own right. The red Angus heifer that comes next, you really like a lot of things about her. When she's parked, she really gives you a good look. She's as headed and laid back in her shoulder as any we've seen today. You really like her length of spine. I just like to change that one there a little bit through her hip and hind leg in terms of how she uses it. She's got enough flex, but she could be more attractive in terms of how she does it. And then she wants to get a little too upright there in her pasterns as well, which I don't like to see as much. But a really competitive heifer. I think a really good cow prospect for that young man. Heifer then that comes next is probably shorter in her angles relative to those heifers that come in front of her. She's probably not as fresh or attractive there through her neck and shoulder as those heifers in front of her, but still good in her body shape. Got plenty of look from the side, maybe just like to freshen that one up in terms of making her more feminine. Then the Hereford marked heifer that rounds out the class. Still really long-sided kind of a female, plenty functional in her own regard as an individual, has plenty of body shape. Just relative to those heifers in front of her, she doesn't have as much look. She doesn't have as much ring appeal today, but a nice way to close out the class. Congratulations.
Let's send them out with a nice round of applause, please. First in class was Haley Dodge. Second was Layden Larson. Third went to Zoe Hall. Fourth to Cal Schultz. Fifth went to Renee Van Kira. And sixth went to Madison Inger. Okay, we're bringing back our first from each of the classes. All right, the first class, our first class are May. All right, I'll get it straight yet. Class 3 was our first one that came in down there in the very end. Next came in our April. And then coming in is our January through March, first and second in class. So these are all yearlings born in 2019. All right, folks, we've been giving them applause and they're not even in the show ring. Let's put our hands together and show our appreciation for our yearling breeding heifers, please. Just a reminder, Rachel out here in the ring is here to take pictures. The champion reserve in the overall will be receiving banners, and we'd sure love to have some pictures taken out here at the north side of the pavilion.
Really an impressive set of heifers out here for our final drive in the heifer division, and I think we've got 6 really tremendous females out here that these exhibitors have brought to us today, and it's certainly been challenging but exciting for me to evaluate them and walk through them today. And honestly, you can find the advantages of all 6 of these amongst one another in terms of just having a lot of really high quality parts. And so maybe if I don't pick them exactly how you would today, I just probably won't fight you too much on it. But I think we've got 3 really outstanding individuals, especially up front here for our class winners. And I see some differences between these heifers, and I'll just talk just real briefly here again so these exhibitors maybe know why they won or didn't win here today. But the heifer that comes out of our first class there, really neat in her pattern and her look. Really love the balance that heifer offers. She's really attractive through her head, neck, and shoulder there, and how she ties that through her chest floor, back through her heart. She's really good back out over her rib as well. She maybe just gets a nickel down there at times through her hip, but that's still a really attractive female in terms of how her hip and hind leg is put together. You maybe want to make her just a little bolder there at the top side of her skeleton relative to some of the other heifers behind her, and relative to maybe that heifer that was second in class. I think we could extend that heifer just a nickel as well, but I think that's getting critical on an awfully nice build kind of heifer. Heifer that comes out of our second class one, who's simply, of course, a little older, maybe offers a little bit more performance with that as well in terms of that length of spine, in terms of some added frame, if you're into that. And then past that, when we step off that heifer, that one really striking from the side, really attractive, laid back from the shoulder there. I like how her shoulder's laid into her. She blends well through her forehead there. All right, maybe I'm not staying far enough away for it. Maybe that's just my sign I'm talking too much too as well. That sure could be the case. But the heifer in second, really elegant from the side, I think is a word that really describes her. I really love a lot of things about her in terms of how she's put together. Relative to the heifer that comes out of our first class, maybe she's not as dimensional in her upper hip, but I think that's one that's still plenty stout at the surface. I really love her dimension from end to end, how she gets out and flexes relative to still being really stout in her foot and bone. So I think a lot of good things about that heifer. Then the ladies that comes out of our third class, maybe plainer about her head, neck, and chest relative to our other 2 class winners, but from her forward back, I think that one's really good. She's got plenty of center body. She balances out through her hips. She's got plenty of foot and bone underneath her and goes with enough as well. So I think a really nice individual in her own right that puts an awfully lot together too. So you can go ahead and take your pick out of these 6, which ones you like the best. I think, as I mentioned, they're all really tremendous females, and you sure would be happy to take any of these home. So let's go ahead and congratulate these exhibitors on a really outstanding set of heifers, and I'll take a grand in reserve.
Champion goes to Tiro Mente. Let's give him a nice round of applause. Let's give his heifer a nice round of applause. Reserve champion goes to Cade Dodge. Let's give Cade Dodge a nice round of applause as he brings that heifer in line, please. Cade Dodge. That's your champion, reserve champion yearlings. All right, we're going to dismiss the rest of the class, and we'll bring out our spring calves for the overall breeding champions. Let's send them out with a nice round of applause. These are some powerful heifers. So we've got the spring calves out here in between. First place spring calf is on the far east end. Then we've got our yearlings. Then we have the reserve spring calf and the reserve yearling. It's hard to imagine those little calves are going to be the same size as those big black ones in a year. They grow a lot, kind of like kids. Once again, we'd like to thank our supporters of this show, Jackson Federal Savings and Loan, United Prairie Bank, Bank Midwest, Trekking Family New Fashion Pork, Smith Cattle Company out of Esterville, Weiss Milling out of Welcome, and P.S. Farms here in Jackson. Right now, we're currently in the process of picking our overall Grand Champion breeding animal.
When we add our calves to the lineup here, certainly we add plenty of quality along with that, because I think both of these calves are really nice individuals and have really bright days ahead of them down the road in the show ring. That shorthorn heifer is really attractive from the side, really striking. I think she's right where she needs to be in terms of her condition relative to her age, and she's got plenty of grow to go along with that. We can maybe make her just a little bit rounder there through her center body, make her better from her forward to her flank, but that's getting critical on a nice calf, and that'll certainly come with age. And then the smoke heifer that comes out of that next class then is really attractive from the side. I think she balances up really neat. She's maybe not as attractive through her neck and chest floor maybe as where she could be at this age, but again, I think that's a really awfully high quality female that will feed and really be good down the road. But I'm going to go ahead and keep the breds together for a Grand and Reserve overall. Congratulations.
All right, champion goes to Trevor Minty and Cade Dodge. Let's send them out with a nice round of applause. Our grand champion breeding animals in our Jackpot show. Congratulations, Trevor. Congratulations, Amelia. Congratulations. Oh, I just mentally blocked out here. Taylor, and congratulations, Haley, showing Cade Dodge's calf. And once again, our young lady out here, Rachel, is taking pictures by what we call the photo booth here north of the building. I think we had our Delarson kids here presenting those banners. Our next classes will be the prospect heifers and steers. We have one class of prospect heifers. We have a scratch, so we have just two in that class. So we have two in that class. two out. We're getting the other one up here. Okay, our red heifer is weighing in at 330. And our black heifer out there is weighing in at 385. These are prospect heifers. You think you should be able to muscle these little calves, but they can be so stubborn.
Nice class of prospect heifers here. Start with this young man's black heifer here in front of me, and structurally that heifer's just put together a little bit better. She's more attractive and eye-appealing from the side too as well. I think she offers a bit better balance to get off that pair. The red heifer then that comes in second, plenty useful about her look. I think she's plenty practical in her build. Maybe just not as structurally sound there through her hip and hind leg in terms of how she's put together, but I think a nice young project for that young man.
Let's put our hands together for our prospect heifers. Peyton Hodap was our first in that class, with Tanner Nelson being second. They automatically become champion reserve heifers. So now we're going to move into our 3 classes of prospect steers. In this class, all of the calves are crossbred. The first one coming in weighs in at 370. Next in is 385. Next we have 409. And completing the class is a steer weighing 430. So we go from 370 up to 430. Let's put our hands together for our first class of prospect steers, please. Prospect steers. While our judge is working this class, I am asked to read through these again. So this comes down from the Minnesota Attorney General's office, and it's some of the things that we had to comply with in Jackson County in order to have this livestock show. First off, social distancing is encouraged. Masks are encouraged if you cannot social distance and are not with your family unit. There are free masks in the office if you need them. Please wash and sanitize your hands. There are hand washing and sanitizing stations right outside the show pavilion to the south, by the food court, over by the food vendors, and by each one of the livestock buildings. Please respect that every other bleacher row is closed. There's a yellow sign there that says closed. Please do not sit in those rows. Hey, these guys are complaining back here. They must be tired of hearing this. Next, please respect show pavilion and livestock office entrances and exits. We're supposed to have no more than 2 people in the office at one time. Please respect the traffic flow signs. They're green, painted arrows on the cement. Please, no gathering in the stalling or staging areas. Exhibitors and families. Only one person exhibitor plus one other person are supposed to be in the staging area. Exhibitors, if possible, keep a 6-foot distance between you and your fellow exhibitors.
We probably have as much differences in this class as any we've had today here, so I think it becomes quite challenging because I think all these calves probably have something you like to make better about them. But the smoky steer that I'll use to start probably just has the most to him today. That's the biggest footed steer, the heaviest muscle, the biggest down his top. Frankly, he's a little coarse looking for me today based on his age, so we'll see how he grows and progresses. And you'd like to make him softer about his look, certainly as well. But I think this class with steers behind him that aren't perfect, that one probably just stands out the most for me today. 2 and 3 become interesting because I think those are steers that probably complement each other in terms of their look, and that bull calf that comes in second does so and beats the calf in third, just because he comes together a little bit better today. He's probably wanting to cooperate on the halter just a little bit, and that certainly plays to his advantage as well. And that's just one from the side. You really like his build about him. He's good down his top. He's attractive. He's extended about his kind. He's certainly not as stout built or as robust about his center body as our class winner, but I think a steer that fits comfortably second in my mind for just being a really good, solid calf. The calf that comes third is probably bigger footed than the bull calf in second. He's probably stouter out of his hip. He has a little bit more weight per day of age. There's a lot of things I like about him. I just wish he would come together a little bit more. Maybe a few extra times in the show ring might help that too as well. But when he parks or when he goes, he wants to maybe fall apart just a little bit. He's not as good down his top line. He probably doesn't carry as much true shape and dimension there through his base of his leg. And he's probably not quite as attractive there through his hock and pastern as well. But I still think a really nice calf with bright days ahead. Then the young man's calf that rounds out the class, really practical in his look. He's probably the deepest sided out of any in the group today, so you like that about him. I think he should be an easy feeder for this young man, and so I think that's a really great thing to have. He's probably just the lightest in his foot and bone, probably the lightest in his muscle relative to those calves in front of him, but I still think a really good practical steer for that young man.
Let's put our hands together for that class, please. First in that class went to Hank Schultz. Second went to Ethan Bearley. Third went to Ethan Mullerley. And fourth went to Josh Thompson. Our next class runs from 462 up to 490. It'll be class 8. So coming in, we have calf weighing 462, followed by calf with 463. Then we have the third calf in was 470. Next we have the calf that weighs 475. On this end, the second from this end, the calf weighs, and steer weighs 484. And completing class is a steer that weighs 490. Remember that our young lady over here, Rachel, that's in the gray shirt, is taking pictures using the backdrop to the north of this building. And you're sure welcome to contact her or have her take pictures of your animal for future publications. As long as we're talking about pictures, this show is being streamed live, courtesy of KKOJ. If you'd like to hear it, just go to exploreokoboji.com or the KKOJ Facebook. And we have had little text messages back from Kansas and from Nebraska. We have a lot of grandparents that have contacted us that were unable to come, that have been able to watch their grandchildren here at this show. So it is very much a very valuable method of being able to get the show to people who are unable to come. And we thank them, our gentleman over there. He's been here all day. Let's give that guy a nice round of applause. He's been live streaming for a couple days now already, right over there.
Good class here, a deep class. I think a lot of quality throughout. I think we've got a competitive top pair and really an interesting dynamic all the way throughout in this class. And these two up front probably are the most similar in their type and kind. And I think there's just a lot of quality built into those cattle right there. Really good looking, plenty of structural integrity with some muscle, with some bone, some dimension to go on top of that. The calf that I'll use to win, I think just has a little bit more to him today. I think he's maybe a little bit bigger there through his foot and bone. I think he's probably just a little bit better at the top of his rib cage as well. That calf that comes in second relative to our class winners, maybe just a little plainer in those regards. Maybe doesn't quite have the natural width and dimension all the way throughout. And then he's maybe just a little plainer at times there right behind his shoulder as well. But I think both of those calves are calves that have plenty of future ahead of them. The calf that comes in third for me is probably the challenge to find him in terms of where he belongs in the lineup. He's the biggest footed, probably the stoutest built at the surface in that regard. He sure gives you a good look at times. From behind, he maybe wants to funnel a little bit more through the base of his leg, you'd like to see, but he's still a calf. He's going to grow into that. And then I like to just freshen that calf up just a little bit more relative to where he's at right now. I think he could be better in his neck and his chest floor, and specifically right there through his shoulder in terms of the roundness there relative to his age. But I still think a really competitive, stout-built calf. The calf then that comes next, you like his length of spine, how extended he is from his shoulder forward. That one's probably just not quite as good in his rib shape maybe as those calves that come in front of him. He's probably tighter there through his forearm and his heart. Probably just doesn't have quite the width through his center body as well. But I think a calf that's attractive in terms of how he's put together. You like his hip and hind leg. Captain that comes next is one that's really long spine. He's probably the most extended in class. He probably just doesn't have the stoutness at the surface of those in front of him. But I study that calf to be really practical in his build. I think he'll be an easy feeding kind of a calf. Maybe just not quite as fancy, not as striking from the side as those in front. Then this bull calf that rounds out the class, probably as much muscle as any in class. Maybe just like to make him a bit sounder there through his hip, hock, and pasturing and how in terms of how he uses it. But I still think a really practical bull calf that'll have a lot of good days ahead. So a really good class all the way throughout.
Nice class there. Let's give them a nice round of applause, please. First in that class went to Daylin Judd. Second went to Hayden Judd. Third went to Taylor Lundgren. Fourth went to Claire Lundgren. Fifth went to Noah Thompson. Sixth went to Logan Eder. We had a couple of siblings there in that last four going around at each other. Okay, presently we have our class 9 in here. The first one in the one on the podium side weighs in at 646. The one on the east side weighs in at 600.
two are somewhat different in their makeup and how they're put together, and I think they make a really competitive pair, about as competitive a pair as we've seen here throughout our calf division. And I'll use the white and black steer to win. I think there's just a little bit more to that calf. He's stouter in his foot and bone. He's just generally heavier structured throughout. He's probably a little bit more extended in his time. I certainly like the structure of the bull calf there in second. That one's probably a little bit more flexible. I think he's freer moving when those two get out, and he's better in his spine. When you get off that pair, though, I think there's just, I'd like to see that one just a little bit heavier constructed relative to our class winner. I think he could be a bit more striking about his front 1/3, but I think a really nice competitive pair.
Let's send them out with a nice round of applause, please. Lindsay Rose was first in that class with the crossbred. Nathan Hinkledye was second with the Simmental. Okay, we'll be bringing back the first and second from each of the classes of steers, class 7, 8, and 9, for our grand champion and reserve champion prospect steers. Once again, we'd like to announce our sponsors: Jackson Federal Savings and Loan, United Prairie Bank, and Bank Midwest right here in Jackson. We have the Frickin Family New Fashion Pork. Again, you probably passed it, their main office as you came in off the freeway to coming to the fairgrounds. Smith Cattle Company, Brad Smith out of Esterville. Weiss Milling out of Welcome, Minnesota. And P&S Farms, that's Pike and Schmidt, right here in Jackson County. So as you see some of these people around, be sure and thank them. And exhibitors, if you're some of the big winners, it's surely appreciated if you thank them via text message, email, or whatever. It's always nice to know that if you sponsor something, that the people who are involved appreciate your sponsorship. As our judges working this class of prospect steers, let's put our hands together for our class winners and second place, please. Let's put our hands together. It's a pretty tough quality out here.
Nice lineup here in our first and seconds, and I think these calves all have things you like a lot about, and probably a few things that they need to be better at and maybe will improve at with time, but I think these exhibitors should be commended on the quality of calves that they brought to the ring here. It's not always easy to get these calves, of course, in shape and get them halter broke and get them to the show ring. So congratulations on doing that. Some differences here between when we start to talk this much differences in weight relative to their age. But I think all in all, we've got 3 nice class winners that are complemented by the seconds in class. I like our 2 out of our heavyweight class to be the Grand and Reserve. I think those are the built and have the most to them today. But congratulations to all of our prospect steer exhibitors.
Lindsay Rose is our grand champion prospect steer, and Nathan Higgledye is our reserve champion prospect steer. Let's send them out with a nice round of applause, please. Now they can't go too far because we need to have our heifers and steers compete. Boys against girls always. We have not really properly introduced our judge. This is Ethan Johnson. He hails from Andover, South Dakota. They breed Maines and Angus over there, and he works for Animal Health Company. Let's put our hands together for our show judge for today, Ethan Johnson, please.
I think we've had a lot of good calves come through in our prospect division here, and as we get each of the division champions back out here to compete for overall, I think there's a lot of quality in these 4 out here. Certainly we've had plenty of differences all throughout our classes of each division, but ultimately I've tried to pick young calves that are built correct and have plenty of good days ahead of them in terms of staying structurally sound, being easy fleshing and easy feeding type cattle with plenty of muscle and dimension on that skeleton and foundation. So with that, I'll keep our steer and our bull calf together for our Grand and Reserve overall. I think they have the most to them today. Congratulations to these exhibitors.
Lindsay Rose and Nathan Hingledye. Congratulations, overall grand champion prospect animal. All right, let's send them out with that nice round of applause, please. Our next class is Market Heifers, Class N. Okay, coming into this class, our first heifer is weighing in at 11:18. Next heifer is weighing in at 11:30. That's not a time, that's a weight. Next heifer came in at 12:25. And completing the class is a heifer weighing 12:95. All right, let's put our hands together for our market heifers, please. Market heifers. We've got to thank you people ringside that have been supporting these exhibitors in our Jackpot show. It's not always easy to sit there and give a lot of applause all the time. I'm the clapping police here, I guess. But every bit of encouragement we can give to these youngsters really does mean a difference to them, or make a difference for them. Sometimes those animals are giving them a hard time and they need a little encouragement to calm down and take it easy.
A really good group of four here as we progress into our market heifer division, and especially a really competitive top pair between two really high quality females that put a lot together well. But the heifer that I'll use to start still does so relatively handily for me in terms of one just being ultra round body and dimensional from end to end. That's a heifer that puts it all together. And you know, maybe she's a little bit big for you, being 1295, but I think she still is quite appropriate in terms of her condition. When I get my hands on her, she's probably not as far along as I maybe would have studied her to be from the outside, so I appreciate that about her. And then she meets your hand with a ton of shape down her top side, still maintains it in a really sound and attractive package. The heifer that comes second, really dimensional in her own right. That's a heifer that's awfully good from the side. We really like her silhouette. She's more attractive through her head, neck, and shoulder relative to our class winner. But from there on back, she's just not as round-bodied or dimensional as that class winner. But as an individual, that's a really, really high-quality female to be second in class here today in Jackson County. The white-black heifer then that comes third is really long-sided in her own right, extended from her shoulder forward. Just doesn't have the condition or muscle of those two heifers in front of her. Then the heifer that rounds out the class has plenty of dimension. She's probably stouter out of her hip than the heifer that comes in third. Just not quite as attractive or balanced from the side. She's not quite as attractive there through her frontal and third through her head as those heifers in front of her. But I think a really competitive four heifers.
All right, in that class, Jake Knutson was first. Second, Reese Johnson. Third, Grace Killian. And fourth, Ava Miller-Lee. That was, and Jake and Reese would have been first and second in the Market Heifer Champion Reserve. Coming in next are our Market Steers. First one coming in weighs 11.15. And is a Shorthorn Plus. Feeding class is our crossbred, weighing 11.50. I'd say it looks pretty black and white out here. Let's put our hands together for our first class of market steers, please. We have a second class of steers here. At the conclusion of that, we will have the Champion Reserve market steers, and then we'll pick our grand champion market animal, which will involve our market heifers and our market steers.
The black steer is a really logical place to start from all angles. You like that one quite a bit from the side. That one puts an awful lot together. He's so attractive there through his head, neck, and chest. How he blends there through his forerib. Really round and robust there through his center body, stout out of his hip. Maybe you'll add some weight to him, some cover to him, but that'll come with time. I think with that one, where he's at right now, that one's awfully good. The white steer then that comes second, really like how practical he is. He's got a ton of muscle all the way throughout. He too could add a little bit of cover, and that'll come with some time on feed. Doesn't have quite the bells and whistles maybe as our class winner, but a really practical steer in his own right that young man should be proud of. Congratulations to our steer exhibitors.
Yes, we'll put our hands together for that class, please. First went to Jake Knudsen, second went to Tanner Nelson. In our next class, the weights will go from 1246 to 1290. A little under 50 pounds there. First one coming in, weighed in at 1260. Next one in weighed 1290. And then one on the other end that snuck past me, the light colored, weighed 1246. Let's put our hands together for this class 12, our last class of market steers, please. At this time, I need to make sure that we announce our sponsors once again. We have Jackson Federal Savings and Loan, United Prairie Bank, and Bank Midwest, all of which are right here in Jackson, along Main Street there. Then we have the Fricke family, which is New Fashion Pork, and as I mentioned earlier, the head office is right out here in the industrial park. You probably went past it on your way in if you came in from the freeway. Then we have Smith Cattle Company, Brad Smith out of Esterville, Iowa, Weiss Milling out of Welcome, Minnesota, and P&S Pike and Schmidt Farms right here in Jackson, just to the west of town. So we're very grateful for our sponsorship there. And once again, exhibitors, if you just take a few minutes and let them know you're thankful for their sponsorship, that goes a long ways towards another show, another year, and also, ironically enough, does make quite an impression with these institutions when they get thank you notes from exhibitors.
That's really good that she's been helping out.
Little note on those thank you notes. Just talked to a couple people that do hiring for corporations. And the new thing is, if you want to get a job, you go in an interview, you make sure you do a handwritten thank you note to follow up on that interview. That is we used to gripe about writing thank you notes. Well, these days that thank you note seems to make the difference whether you're going to get hired or not. So let's make sure we get out there and do the right thing and thank these people who have supported us with this show today.
Two really nice steers up top here in this class, and the young man's steer that I'll use to win. This has a little bit more to him today in terms of skeletal dimension, in terms of top side power and shape. I like that one's turned to his center body just a little bit more. And then he probably gives you a little bit more of a striking look from the side profile too, in terms of just being a little bit neater through his neck and shoulder there. The steer that comes in second, still really good in his own right. He's probably softer back through his flank in terms of just having more depth of body. I don't study that one to have quite the dimension or power out of his hip as our class winner does though. But that's still really stout build, really high quality kind of steer. Then the white calf that rounds out the class, really like how practical he is. He's really long bodied. You like his length of hip. You like how stout he is in terms of his foundation. Just maybe doesn't have quite the look of those first two. Isn't quite built as structurally as attractive as our first two steers in class, but it's nice steer to round out the class.
Let's send them out with a nice round of applause, please. Winning that class was Caleb Van Kira. Second was Kate Tavis. Third was Ethan Meller-Lay. And I might be slaughtering the name, I apologize. Okay, we're gonna bring back our first and second from class 11 and 12 for our champion steer. And then we'll bring them back along with the market heifers for our grand champion overall market animal. So to reintroduce the first one from class 11, that steer's weighing in at 1150. Our first one from class 12 is weighing in at 1260. So 110 pounds difference there. Then the white steer coming in, weighed in at 1115. And our black steer, both of those two are second in their classes. The black steer on this end, podium side, weighed 1290. Let's put our hands together for our market steers, please. Just a reminder, Rachel, who's down on her knees there at the far end of the ring, is willing to take and will take pictures for you. Sometimes when we get at the end of the show, we forget to take those pictures of animals and exhibitors. So be sure and contact her. She'll be taking pictures out here in front of the, I'll call it the photo booth out here north of the building. So her name is Rachel. She'd be more than happy to take some pictures for you. Just a heads up, we will be having showmanship. It's the third page. And junior showmanship will be exhibitors who have completed third, fourth, or fifth grade. And it's $5 a throw. You just throw your money in, and you're in. In the intermediates are those that have completed sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. And seniors are those that have completed their ninth grade on up. So we do have showmanship today.
I think we've got two really outstanding steers, class winner here, and I hope everybody in the building really just takes a minute to admire these two steers. And certainly I know I was here as I'm evaluating them, because I think they're both really tremendously high quality steers that can play on a lot of different levels, both at the state level and nationally. And I think they put an awful lot together in a really impressive package. I'll just talk to steers real briefly, just so folks can understand what I'm maybe seeing out here. And this first steer is a steer that you like from every single angle you see him at. He's so good there through his front 1/3. He's really good there through his center body. He's still stout out of his hip. You really generally prefer him in terms of how he gets out and covers the ring, in terms of being really stout and big in his foot and bone, yet maintaining to be flexible, functional, and comfortable on the move, and then giving you that really good look from his profile. Frankly, the only thing that you'd like to change about him today in terms of, well, is he too light for you? Maybe he doesn't have quite as much muscle shape right behind his shoulder. Is that steer in second? And if those things which are very important things when we come out here to evaluate market steers, aren't enough for you, you can certainly pick this steer out of our class winning steer out of our second class, because that's a really heavy muscled steer in his own right. Super good from the side as well. You like his hip and hind leg in terms of how he's put together. He's not as attractive about his front 1/3. He's a little bit bolder and coarser there through his shoulder. He probably doesn't tie his neck off the top side of his shoulder quite as well, but like I mentioned, he handles a little bit better right behind his shoulder. He's probably more appropriate in terms of his handle today, and he has 100 pounds extra, so I would hope that and expect that. And if you like those things about him, certainly go ahead and use those things, because they're obviously tremendously important when we come out here to pick fat market steers. So a really competitive pair. I think these steers probably can go a couple different ways here in terms of what you value, what you think. I just generally like this first steer more. I think he's more attractive. I think he's put together a little bit more attractive. If he's not having enough muscle for you today, if he doesn't have enough cover for you today, that's perfectly fine, and I certainly won't blame you at all for picking this class-winning steer out of our second class. But I think a really competitive pair of steers. That's just how I see him today. So we use the young man up here for champion. Congratulations.
That is Jake Knudsen. Congratulations, Jake. Our champion market steer. Reserve goes to Caleb and Kira. Let's send these out with a really nice round of applause, please. Champion reserve. All right, we're bringing in our top market heifer and our top steer. And I am betting on the winner. If we want a sure bet here, I don't know if you've been paying attention here. Maybe I've been blabbing too much here, which is entirely possible. But I would say the person who had the champion heifer and the champion steer might have almost a 100% chance of getting the overall grand champion market animal. Now we just have to see if it's heifers versus steers. And just to give the girls a little hope, the gilt beat the barrel last night in the open show, so. All right, people, let's put our hands together. How about this for our overall market animal? think there's a lot of us ringside exhibitors that are very jealous of you, that would love to be able to show animals that look like what you've got out there. I know I would have been one of them. Reminder, we have showmanship following the selection of the overall Grand Champion market animal. We have some pewies, and we're going to have the pewies, I believe, are going to work in with our juniors there. So we've the age range there, I think we're going from kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade in our junior division showmanship. Not sure of that yet, but I think that's what they're doing back here. I stand corrected. We are going to have a pewee class and a junior class. So we'll start with the pewees. And in that class, we definitely want to have an adult or an older member with that show person to make sure we have a safe experience going on out here in this show ring. So our pewees have completed kindergarten, 1st or 2nd grade. Our juniors will have completed 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade. Our intermediates will have completed 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, and our seniors are 9th grade and above. And that's for showmanship.
Well, I certainly couldn't ask for anything more here when we get our market drive out here and evaluate these four for overall. I think really tremendous amount of quality all the way throughout. And I know I've said that throughout the day here, but well, I think this is the epitome of it, and I can't see why all four of these wouldn't be awfully competitive and have a chance at winning their division on the state level, because I think there's a lot of really good things about all four of these. And these exhibitors have really done a nice job getting them ready here for today. I knew I was going to find some quality here today, but I certainly think this still blew away my expectations. So congratulations to these exhibitors and breeders on that accomplishment of having this quality set here in Jackson today. When we get our market heifer back out here along with our champion steer, I think she fits right in terms of just having a tremendous amount of muscle and dimension all the way throughout. You get behind that heifer, and that's one that's just opened up from end to end. She's got a tremendous amount of power and quality. And then when you get back off the side, that's still a smooth, good footed kind of female that gets out and moves with plenty of flex and plenty of functionality. She's probably not as neat fronted about her head or chest, maybe her head or neck, maybe her chest for as that steer, but that's a heifer that's carrying quite a bit more weight and condition on her too as well. So I think it becomes an interesting decision when you get down to a heifer that's just really dimensional, maybe just a nickel past 12 o'clock for some of you, and then a steer that's probably not quite to 12 o'clock yet. Both are really high quality. I don't think you could go either way. Again, I just generally like that look of that steer and what he offers and puts together. He'll be our champion today, followed by the heifer as reserve. Congratulations.
Champion goes to Jake Knudsen. Reserve champion goes to Jake Knudsen. Let's give Jake Knudsen a very nice round of applause. That's called a clean sweep. Good job there. And once again, Jake, if you'd like to get pictures, our young lady in the gray would be more than happy to get some nice pictures up here at the, what we call the photo booth here. Here we go with our peewees. We really need to put our hands together because these guys do not really compete against each other. They're here to get experience and some ring experience. So I think we have Lincoln out there leading out. That's Lincoln Larson. Let's give Lincoln Larson a nice round of applause, please. Then next we have Liam. Is that right, Liam? He's the one that smiled at me yesterday. All right, that's Liam Larson. Let's give Liam Larson a nice round of applause, please. And next we have Peyton, and we've seen him earlier, and I've slaughtered his name each time. I think it's Hadap? Hodap. I did slaughter it. Maybe I hit it once. Hodap. Let's give Peyton a nice round of applause, please. All right. Thank you. So these guys are out here for show experience. All right, one more time, we're going to ask you to put your hands together. This is Lincoln Larson. Let's give him a nice round of applause. Hey, Lincoln, can you smile for us? There we go. Oh, it went upside down. All right, Liam is next. Liam, are you going to give us a big smile? Let's give Liam a nice round of applause. Liam. And then we have Peyton. And I mispronounced his name. It is Peyton Hope That. So let's give Peyton a nice round of applause as well, please.
Well, it's great to have our peewees out here, all of them for at least the second time today, and that's great to see. It's really good to see their intensity. They've got plenty of enthusiasm when they're out here as well, so that's great. Let's go ahead and give them a big round of applause on a great job.
Here they go. Lincoln Larson's leading the way, followed by Liam Larson and Peyton Hope that. Nice job. Way to go, guys. Next, we have our junior show people. They should have completed 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade. And we have Layden Larson coming out there with that big heifer. I think Layden is going to notch this class.
Well, I think I can get this placing right. This young man does a really, really good job. He's been out here all day working hard. He does a really good job showing this heifer. She's a big heifer, but he keeps his head up, does a really good job, and that really adds to her look, and I think that's what showmanship's all about. He's really controlled. I can tell he's worked hard with that heifer, so really big round of applause for him, if you would.
That young man out there is Layden Larson. Layden, you may take your heifer out. Let's send him out with a nice second round of applause, please. Layden Larson. Looks like the next classes are going to expand. How about that? Our showmanship classes are increasing 4 times.
as we get into this intermediate age, really looking for maybe a little bit more of the fundamentals, and certainly, as I maybe mentioned earlier today, if you were here for the county show, in terms of just head control and how important that is, and I think these individuals do a nice job of that. But the two that I'm going to use, I think, just did the best job in head control. And it's amazing how you can change a calf just by getting that head in the appropriate position, whether it's forward, whatever it may be, on the move. So let's congratulate these four exhibitors on a nice job. Young man up here with the white steer will be our champion, and the young lady in the Hereford heifer will be reserved.
Yes, please do applaud. They put some effort in there. So we have Tanner Nelson, who is our champion, and Madison Inger, who is our reserve champion. So let's send them out with a nice round of applause, please. Okay, next one, and the last class of the day is our senior showmanship, and that would be exhibitors who have completed the 9th grade on up. Whenever you're ready, seniors, you may come into the ring. Come on in, guys. I spoke too soon. We have one more coming in.
Well, I really appreciate these kids coming back out here, and as it's getting hot this afternoon, they've been here all day. I really appreciate them coming back out and competing, and certainly all the exhibitors we've had all day. I'm not here to give a long speech, because frankly, what do my opinions matter? But I really admire these kids for showing here today, and it would have been pretty easy to kick these cattle out, back in June and July, and maybe give up on them. So I really admire their tenacity, their enthusiasm, their competitive spirit all day. It's been really good to work with. All the kids have been been kind to me all day and good to work with, and then had really good ring help too as well, so sure do appreciate that. So with that, a really good group of seniors back out here to conclude the day for Showmanship. I think they all do a really good job. Maybe some small differences in terms of how they handle themselves right around their calf, and how they really deal with their calf maybe acting up just a little bit as the day wears on and these calves get a little bit more ornery. But I think they do a nice job. Young man on the end will be our champion. I'm not sure if I should pick someone that was late to the ring for Showmanship as our champion, but he just does the best job in terms of handling himself, how he handles that heifer, and keeps himself calm and always puts her in a really good position. Then the young lady here with the blaze will be our reserve. I thought she did the next best job in terms of when that heifer wants to act up a little bit, just stay calm with her, get her in a good position, get that head up, and they've done a really nice job. And good job to these other two. Did a really, really outstanding job all day. So thanks everyone for having me, and it's been a lot of fun, and everyone drive safe home.
Thank you, Ethan, very much. Winning Showmanship was Trevor Minke, and just to let you know, he really wasn't late for class. His trailer is way over on the other side. No mic system over there, he had no idea, but he did get his cap up here pretty quickly. And we had Haley Dodge as reserve, and let's send them out. Those of you who are left, let's give them a nice round of applause, our seniors, please.